These right here are two YouTubers named Dan and Robert, who in October of 2023 uploaded a video titled "Mysterious Abandoned House Found in the Woods of Georgia" to their channel Adventures into History. Their channel primarily focuses on urban exploration, and they frequently share footage of their adventures exploring various abandoned locations across the United States. In this particular video, Dan and Robert decided to explore an abandoned farmhouse known as the Old Willis Place, situated in a remote part of Georgia. According to the explorers, the farm stretches over 500 acres of land and was built during the early 1900s. However, during the mid-1900s, the owner sadly passed away, and the farm has been completely abandoned since. For over the last several decades, the locals in the area claim that the house is haunted and has been actively linked with paranormal activity. Despite its dark history, Dan and Robert set out to explore the abandoned farmhouse and uncover the truth behind these claims. As the duo began their exploration, they ventured deep into the woods to locate the abandoned house. After walking for a while, they finally reached the property. Once inside, they discovered that the house was completely empty and was on the verge of collapsing. This indicated that the house has been abandoned and neglected for a considerable amount of time. During the first few minutes of their exploration, they began talking to their viewers about the history of the house. The explorers then went outside the house and decided to go underneath the crawl space to explore what was inside. During their exploration, they stumbled upon various items from old broken bottles to several kitchen utensils. The explorers, fascinated with what they had discovered, decided to explore further and went to the other side of the house. However, just moments later, as they were searching through the crawl space, that's when they encountered something truly disturbing.
I want out. Well, what else did you find?
Coming out, I found an old piece of something, piece of saucer.
Yeah.
This place is super fascinating. I'll go back under, or look back under when we go around front, so I don't have to crawl as far to get to it. All right, so now that we're back at the creepy old house, let's look under it where we saw that room that looked like it had been previously divided. All right, I'll give you that to hold while I crawl under there, and then
You want to take the camera with you?
yeah. So that's a 1958 Coke bottle, right?
What is that?
Oh, that's weird. Here. That is strange. You heard that, right, Dan?
Yes, I did.
That was weird. All right, that's enough of this old house for a minute. We're gonna go look at something else.
To the explorers' absolute shock, as soon as they crawled underneath the house, they suddenly started hearing the sound of footsteps coming from the floor above them. The duo, terrified for their lives, immediately crawled out and went inside the house to investigate. Disturbingly, as soon as they got out of the crawl space, the noises abruptly stopped. When they stepped inside the house, they unfortunately found nothing that could have caused those footsteps. After this shocking encounter, the duo had no interest in exploring further, and they eventually went outside the house and began explaining what they had just witnessed to their viewers. However, as they were talking, that's when they encountered something once again.
Hello?
Sounded just like footsteps.
That's not funny.
No.
All right, you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Not funny at all.
No, not cool. Not cool. I told you this place felt creepy. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. So I hope you guys have... All right, that's it. Come on.
You can say all the goodbyes you want.
Let's go.
I'm gone.
Let's get out of here.
As soon as the explorers stepped outside, they suddenly heard a loud bang coming from the house. The explorers, after yet another bizarre encounter, immediately ended their exploration and left the farmhouse without any harm. It's still unclear who or what was responsible for the footsteps and the loud bangs, along with the mystery behind whether what Dan and Robert encountered that day was paranormal. But based on everything they witnessed during their visit, the only logical explanation that comes to mind is that someone might have been inside the house and was messing around with them. However, given that the only noises they heard were footsteps coming from the house, and even when they went inside to investigate, they didn't hear or see anyone coming in or going out of the house, and even if someone was actually inside the house and had somehow managed to escape from the explorers, the lack of the sound of leaves crackling or any other noises makes this theory less plausible. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide if what Dan and Robert witnessed that day was truly paranormal or not.
You know, being the juvenile that I am, what I've got to do.
What you got to do there, Dan? What you doing with that brick?
Listen.
All right.
Here we go. These they eat well.
You've awakened it, Dan.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
If you've enjoyed the video so far, it would mean a lot if you considered subscribing. Over 95% of you watching haven't subscribed yet. Your support really helps the channel grow, and in return, I promise to keep bringing you guys the best quality content. Now let's get back to the video. In June of 2018, a YouTuber named Jeff uploaded a terrifying video titled "Alone Inside a Real Haunted Abandoned Mansion" to his channel, Jeff Stedek's World. His channel primarily focuses on urban exploration, and he often shares footage of his experiences exploring various haunted and abandoned locations across Europe. In this particular video, Jeff decided to explore an abandoned mansion that is said to be haunted. According to Jeff, the mansion situated in a remote part of Belgium has been abandoned for a significant amount of time. While the reason for its abandonment remains unclear, many explorers and visitors who have entered the building claim to have encountered some very bizarre occurrences. Numerous people who have explored the mansion have reported hearing distant voices, seeing doors move on their own, and hearing footsteps coming from empty rooms. Disturbingly, there have also been reports of a woman wearing a white dress walking through hallways and stairwells late at night. Despite all this, Jeff set out to explore the mansion in the middle of the night and investigate the truth behind these claims. As Jeff began his exploration and stepped foot inside the mansion, he immediately mentioned that he was already on edge, given that the building had a very eerie atmosphere. During the initial minutes of his exploration, he cautiously moved through the building, searching to see if anyone or anything was inside the building. During this time, he discovered a shoe and a bottle inside one of the rooms, indicating that someone might have been there recently. But fortunately for Jeff, he didn't hear or see anything unusual. He then continued with his exploration and decided to head upstairs. However, as he was approaching the stairs, that's when things started to take a turn for the worse for Jeff.
But also the freaky furniture, guys, is actually very spooky. Especially the freaky shoe, what the hell, man. If you could feel my freaky heart right now, well, it goes insane. What the hell? Guys, do you hear that? I heard my footsteps, I know. Hello? What the hell? Oh shit! Hello? I swear, I guess someone is here right now pranking me or going over, no, or, I don't know. Someone is here? What the hell? Hello? Hello? Jesus Christ. Hello? Oh shit, there's actually a bat inside, what the hell? Hello? What the hell? Holy shit. Yo. What the hell's going on here, man?
After hearing the loud bang, Jeff immediately went upstairs to investigate their source. During his investigation, he heard even more noises coming from one of the rooms, but despite calling out and searching everywhere, he sadly found nothing that could have caused those noises. By this point, Jeff had no idea if someone was inside the building with him or if the noises were paranormal. But given that Jeff had initially discovered a bottle and a shoe, there's a very high possibility that a squatter or a homeless individual might be within the building with him. If this actually were the case, then the situation could escalate quickly, especially since Jeff was in the middle of nowhere, and the individual could easily be hiding to rob him or even attack him at any given moment. Realizing the potential danger that he was in, Jeff wisely chose to leave that floor and went downstairs. For the next few minutes, Jeff remained at the edge of the stairs, trying to rationalize the noises and to see if it would happen again. However, as Jeff was trying to make sense of what he had just witnessed, that's when he encountered something extremely disturbing.
Hello? There's that freaky sounds here, man. I don't know if someone has... What the hell? I'm going back downstairs now because... You! Is someone here? Screw it, man. Alright guys, I'm just going to make my heart of freaky stone and just going to explore this freaky mansion. I swear that someone is here when I'm gonna punch his face, legit. I guess there are just some other people here, man, that heard me coming and actually, wants to make me scared or something. Holy shit, but that's actually a very crazy. Actually the first time that I heard all the crazy noises. But guys, that freaky white dress, I hope it's still hanging there. Okay, it's still here. But yo, guys, let me know in the comments below what you think about this freaky white dress. And my penis is actually very scary. I don't like to come close to that freaky dress.
As Jeff was standing on the stairs, he was suddenly startled by the sound of footsteps coming from the floor that he'd just left. This detail confirmed that someone or something was definitely inside the building with him. When Jeff went towards the noise to investigate, he once again found nothing. During this time, he also discovered a white dress hanging inside one of the rooms. Disturbingly, the white dress does seem to belong to the woman who is rumored to haunt the building at night. Jeff, upon finding the white dress, starts explaining to his viewers about why the dress was there and what it represented. However, as soon as he got close to the dress, that's when he encountered something that completely changed the course of his investigation.
And my penis is actually very scary. I don't like to come close to that freaky dress. But that was a different woman that is actually home this place. Super scary, man. Who the heck should hang a freaky white dress on the lamp? What the hell? Is someone here now or not? Where the heck was a song coming from actually? Huh? Dude, that's coming from the freaking second floor. What the hell, man? Oh, there's just a bathroom here. Hello?
As Jeff was looking at the dress, he suddenly heard a strange noise coming from the floor above him. Although it was hard to pinpoint what the noises were, they oddly resembled the sound of a woman shouting or screaming.
On the lamp.
If this actually was the sound of a woman, then this encounter takes a very dark turn, especially since Jeff heard the strange noises as soon as he got close to the white dress. By this point, Jeff was consumed with fear and anxiety over everything he had been witnessing that night. But he didn't jump into any conclusions, nor did he leave the building. Instead, he composed himself and eventually went upstairs to investigate, regardless of who might be present.
Hello? Who was that? Oh, I thought I saw someone standing there. So I guess, hello, is someone here now? I just making a video here. What the hell, my hands are shaking, man. Yo. Hello? The hell? My flashlight is dying right now. Whew. The hell? Hello? Holy shit, my battery is dying right now, legit. I just put some new batteries in my freaking flashlight, now it's dying. Hello?
After hearing the loud tapping noise, Jeff initially froze and remained in his position, but he eventually called out and went in the direction of the noise. For the next few minutes, Jeff cautiously moved from one room to another to see if anyone or anything was inside the building. But again, he unfortunately found nothing, nor did he hear or see anything unusual during this time. However, just moments later, as Jeff was walking through one of the rooms, that's when his camera captured something extremely alarming.
Hello? I know I said hello for about multiple times, but if you are here, I'm pretty sure I freaking heard something now. Oh shit, I'm gonna be happy that I'm done here, man, and shit. What the hell? There are actually no stairs anymore, I guess. So I can't run away. Yo. I thought that there were actually some people here, but no, there's no one. Screw it, man. So, yeah. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, man. Here. Oh, what the hell? Guys, what the hell, man? Dude. Hello? I keep hearing freaky footsteps there on the freaky. Yo, my screen's blurry now. My screen and blurry are crazy. I'm out of here, man.
If you look closely at the point when Jeff looked at the end of the hallway, you can clearly see a black shadowy figure walking from one room to another. Disturbingly, as soon as the figure entered the room, that's when Jeff started hearing the loud bangs. But Jeff was completely unaware of this detail at the time, as he was still startled by the loud bang. He eventually went towards the noise to investigate its source, but again, he found nothing, nor did he see the black figure. Jeff, after yet another failed investigation, left that floor and went downstairs to end his exploration. However, as Jeff was approaching the exit, that's when he encountered something that sent him running out of the building.
Guys, I swear, it happened too much here. It's actually the first freaking last time I encountered this place legit. So freaking scary. Too much happened here for me. Too much. White dress. Still hanging here. Oh shit. Holy f***. I'm out of here, man. Can't see a shit in front of me. Holy shit, the wrong way. Oh, freaking hell. Shit, I never thought that freaking mansion was so haunted like that. My freaking heart is beating, guys.
To Jeff's absolute shock, as soon as he approached the room with the white dress, he heard the loud bang again, but this time the noises were louder and closer. Jeff, terrified for his life, immediately ran down the stairs and made it out of the building without any harm. It's still unclear who the shadowy black figure was or whether it was responsible for the noises, as well as the mystery behind whether what Jeff encountered that night was paranormal. But based on everything Jeff witnessed during his visit, the only thing that comes to mind is that whoever or whatever was present inside the mansion didn't want him there. When Jeff initially entered the building, he was met with loud bangs and noises. When he went to investigate its source and approached the room with the white dress, he heard the strange woman's voice, which did startle him, but he still didn't leave. When Jeff went upstairs to investigate, his camera captured the black figure, and just moments later, he heard the loud bang again. Finally, when he approached the room with the white dress, whoever or whatever was present inside made those loud noises again, which successfully scared Jeff out of the building. However, none of these claims regarding the paranormal have been verified or debunked and are merely based on what Jeff experienced during his visit. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide whether what Jeff encountered in the mansion was paranormal or simply an elaborate hoax. In September of 2015, a YouTuber named Dan uploaded a terrifying video titled "Exploring Creepy Abandoned Children's Asylum" to his channel. This is Dan Bell. His channel is dedicated to urban exploration, and he's been documenting footage of his bizarre encounters in various abandoned locations for over a decade. In this particular video, Dan decided to explore an abandoned children's asylum known as the Gundry Sanitarium, situated in Baltimore, Maryland. Constructed in 1880, the Gundry Sanitarium was one of the first private mental health facilities in Maryland. It played a significant role in providing essential care to those with psychiatric needs. Originally dedicated to treating nervous disorders in women, the facility later expanded its services to include care for children with acute psychiatric issues. This transition reflected the growing recognition of children's mental health concerns at the time. However, over the years, the facility faced challenges in adapting to the evolving landscape of mental health care. As a result, it was ultimately shut down in the early 2000s. Since then, the facility has been completely abandoned and has gained a reputation for being haunted. There have been multiple reports from urban explorers and ghost hunters claiming to have seen spirits of former patients. These reports often include accounts of strange noises, cold spots, and feelings of being watched. Despite all this, Dan chose to go on a solo exploration of the abandoned asylum. As he began his exploration, Dan showed his viewers the building's poor condition, with crumbling walls and ceilings. Some structures even appeared as if they could collapse at any given moment. As he explored further, he came across piles of junk and trash scattered everywhere. The first few minutes of his video went pretty smoothly, as he didn't hear or see anything unusual. However, just moments later, while exploring one of the rooms, that's when Dan encountered something truly disturbing.
Shit. Fucking battery exploded.
According to Dan, after he heard the footsteps, he didn't think much of them and dismissed them as an animal walking around the building. But disturbingly, just moments after hearing the noise, his camera's battery suddenly exploded. Dan, again thinking this was probably a coincidence, dismissed this detail. He then quickly replaced the battery and started recording again. However, as Dan was approaching the stairs, that's when his camera captured something that completely changed the course of his investigation. If you look closely at the footage, you can clearly see the shadow of someone or something hiding inside the room. But Dan was completely unaware of this detail at the time and continued exploring. As Dan went upstairs to explore the rest of the building, that's when his camera captured something once again. If you look closely at the point when Dan walks towards the door, you can see what appears to be an eye peeking out of the hole before it suddenly disappears. But Dan once again didn't notice this detail at the time. It wasn't until he reviewed the footage later that he saw the eyes peeking out of the hole. Dan, unaware of any of these chilling encounters, continued with his exploration. However, as he stepped inside one of the rooms, that's when he started hearing voices coming out of an empty room. It's evident that a fast whisper can be heard just as Dan was looking at the red stains. Although it's hard to comprehend what it said, one particular comment from Dan's original video makes this encounter even more disturbing. The comment mentions that the voice sounded like someone saying, "I was shot here." After reading this particular comment, it does sound like the voice said, "I was shot here." If this is actually the case, then this encounter becomes very alarming, given that Dan was directly looking at the red stains. This could explain why the voice said it was shot there. But again, this is merely a theory based on a comment left by Dan's viewer and has not been verified or debunked. Consequently, it remains a mystery whether what Dan experienced that day was truly paranormal or simply the result of a squatter or homeless individual. However, the mystery surrounding the Gundry Sanitarium doesn't end here. After Dan uploaded this video to his channel, he uploaded another video where he returned to the same abandoned facility about a month later to investigate further. But this time, Dan takes things to a whole new level by exploring the building alone in the middle of the night. However, little did Dan know that what he was about to encounter this time would be far worse than anything he'd faced during his previous visit.
Basically, guys, I'm trying to keep the light. Low because I don't want people who live around this building to see my light. There's a stairwell that I didn't know about. What the hell is that? It looks like it goes down really far. I don't know. Maybe in the basement.
If you listen closely at the point when Dan walks up to the stairs, you can hear a faint whisper coming from the upper levels. Although it's difficult to comprehend what the voice said, it oddly sounded like the same voice that Dan heard during his initial visit. If this actually was the sound of a man's voice, then this encounter becomes even more alarming. During Dan's initial visit, he had already seen enough signs that indicated that someone or something was inside the building. Now, hearing a man's voice strongly implies the possibility that Dan isn't alone. If someone was present in the building, potentially a squatter or a homeless individual, then the situation could escalate quickly. But Dan wasn't entirely sure he'd heard the voice or not, and eventually went upstairs to further investigate the building. For the next several minutes, Dan cautiously explored the building, and he fortunately didn't hear or see anything unusual during that time. However, as Dan was walking through one of the rooms, that's when he encountered something that effectively put an end to his exploration.
Looks like blood. Old dried up blood. Okay, I can't with this room. I really can't. I'm not going in there. Fuck that shit. Is there somebody back there? What is going on? I hear people walking around. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but back here.
After Dan heard the sound of footsteps coming from one of the rooms, he immediately called out, but unfortunately he received no response. To make matters even more disturbing, just moments before Dan heard the footsteps, you can hear the same man's voice speaking and saying, "Anyone home?"
What is going on?
After hearing the voice and footsteps, Dan had absolutely no idea if someone was inside the building or whether the noises were paranormal. As a result, Dan had no interest in investigating further and ultimately decided to end his exploration, and he managed to leave the building without any harm. It remains a mystery whether Dan's experience that night was paranormal, along with the mystery of who or what was responsible for the voices, or whether the shadowy figure Dan saw during his initial visit was somehow connected to the noises. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide whether the Gundry Sanitarium in Baltimore was truly haunted or not.